How you guys doing? Today I'll be speaking about permafrost and the effects its thawing has on atmospheric CO2 levels. Does the phrase climate change make you uncomfortable? Um, if you know what the phrase refers to, it probably should. The effects of climate change, or rapid climate shift, as some are calling it, are distressing to say the least. The rising levels of carbon dioxide are causing the planet to warm at an alarming rate. Because of this, we are seeing deeper than normal melting of permafrost layers in the Arctic Circle. So basically, fossil fuels burning cause rising CO2 levels, which causes global warming. Global warming causes the permafrost to melt, releasing more greenhouse gases, worsening global warming. The rising thaw rates of permafrost pose a real threat because of CO2 levels and possible thawing of bacteria and viruses, which modern humans and animals could have no resistance to. Um, Permafrost is the subsurface layer of soil that remains frozen throughout the year, occurring mostly in polar regions. The permafrost currently covers 5.8 million square miles of Earth's surface. The permafrost contains almost double the amount of carbon dioxide currently circulating in Earth's atmosphere. In 2016, Kevin Schaefer, the lead research scientist at the National Snow and Ice Data Center, said, "There's a huge amount of carbon stored in permafrost right now. The Earth's atmosphere contains about 850 gigatons of carbon, and we estimate that there are about 1,400 gigatons of carbon frozen in the permafrost. When the carbon and methane levels rise, they create a blanket of greenhouse gas, which traps the heat from the sun. This stored heat raises the temperature in the Arctic by large percentages each year, melting more permafrost. The melting permafrost then releases more greenhouse gases, far too much for plants to absorb during the growing season. So in other words, the balance is gone. The melting of permafrost brings forth another looming issue of ancient viruses and bacteria awakening from their frozen slumber. In the Arctic Circle, on the Amal Peninsula, a 12-year-old boy died of anthrax and 20 others were hospitalized with the virus. The best current theory is that over 75 years ago, reindeer infected with anthrax died and froze in permafrost until the recent heat wave in 2016. The thawing remains seeped anthrax spores into the water and soil, and soon after, the food supply. Nearly 2,000 reindeer were infected with the anthrax, leading to human cases. More than 1 million reindeer died from anthrax in the early 20th century. These buried carcasses are at risk of being thawed out and contaminating soil and water if the temperature keeps rising. As heat rises, we see spread of disease in more ways than one. Bacteria and viruses remain alive in permafrost for possibly over 1 million years. Because it's cold, there's no oxygen or light. The 1918 Spanish flu virus exists in mass graves in the Alaskan tundra. There were many towns and villages in this area that had large numbers of casualties from this flu strain. If the temperature continues to rise, this could create a potential Spanish flu epidemic today. It is also very likely that smallpox and the bubonic plague are buried in Siberia. The warming temperatures and shifting climates are also causing the spread of disease by insects to hasten and widen because the areas that some of them can inhabit are expanding. The permafrost thaw is quite possibly the last straw when it comes to climate shift because with each warm season, we see deeper and broader thawing than in years past. With the rise of CO2 and methane levels from the thaw, we are going to be past the tipping point for greenhouse gases. There are some solutions posed to this problem, but none yet that could tackle the expiration from permafrost. However, dramatically lowering fossil fuel emissions could help to lower greenhouse gas levels and stop the widening range of disease spread by insects in one shot. In summary, if we collectively decide to ignore the problems in our environment, we will be punished for our willful ignorance.